I've always believed that some houses have their own stories to tell. A couple of months ago, I moved into a small house in the countryside. It was a fresh start for me, quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by woods. But from the first night, I knew something was off. It began with little things. At night, I'd hear faint footsteps above me, even though the attic was empty. The first time it happened, I thought maybe it was the house settling. Old houses make noises, right? But as the days went by, those footsteps turned into something else. One night I was lying in bed when I heard what sounded like a soft humming coming from the hallway. I turned on the light, but the sound stopped. It was as if whatever was there didn't want me to see it. The next night, I decided to record the sounds with my phone. Around 2:30 in the morning, I captured something chilling, a low voice whispering my name. I know how crazy that sounds, but when I played it back, I felt a chill run down my spine. It wasn't the wind, it wasn't an animal, it was something else. After that, I started noticing shadows in the corner of my eyes. When I turned to look, they'd vanish. But the worst was the feeling of being watched. I'd wake up at night, drenched in sweat, feeling like someone was standing over me. One night, I woke up and saw a figure at the end of my bed. It was just a silhouette, no face, no features. But I could feel its presence, like it was studying me. I froze, I wanted to scream, but no sound would come out. I blinked and it was gone. I've thought about leaving so many times, but something keeps me here. Maybe it's curiosity, or maybe it's the house itself. All I know is that whatever lives here, it doesn't want me to leave. When I was about 7 years old, my parents used to tell me that our house was haunted. I mean, a lot of parents do that to scare their kids or keep them from wandering around at night, right? But there was something about the way they said it, like it wasn't a joke, like there was some truth they were too scared to explain. We lived in a small, older house on the edge of a quiet neighbourhood. Nothing fancy, just a typical family home with a small backyard. I always had trouble sleeping. I'd lie in bed and hear these strange creaks in the walls, or the way the wind would howl outside. But what really terrified me was the window. My bed faced the window, and almost every night I'd wake up and see something. A tall, shadowy figure standing in the yard just beyond the glass. It never moved or tried to come closer, but it was there, night after night. I'd pull the covers over my head and try to convince myself it was just a tree, or maybe a trick of the light. I told my parents, but they'd always just smile and say, "It's nothing, sweetheart, it's all in your head." And maybe I believed them, at least for a while. I mean, when we was kids, we had wild imaginations, right? But this felt different. Like it wasn't in my head at all. The figure was there every night for months, sometimes close to the window, sometimes standing farther back in the yard. I tried to get a better look, but it was always just a shadow, just darkness. Then one night I woke up and it was gone, completely gone. I remember feeling relieved, but also strangely empty. Like a piece of the puzzle had been taken away and I'd never find it again. Eventually we moved out of that house. My dad got a new job and we left everything behind. I thought I'd finally be able to forget about it, and for years I did. Life moved on, school, college, work. But sometimes late at night I'd remember those nights staring out the window, and I'd wonder if it was really all just a dream. When I was in my late 20s, I bought a small ranch out in the countryside. Nothing fancy, just a couple of acres, a modest barn, and a few horses. It was the kind of place where you could hear your own thoughts, where the nights were so quiet you could almost feel the silence pressing against your skin. One evening, I was out in the field checking on the horses before turning in for the night. The sun had already dipped below the horizon and the sky was streaked with deep purples and blues. I was alone, or at least I thought I was. The only sounds were the steady breathing of the horses and the occasional rustle of wind in the tall grass. As I was walking back toward the barn, I heard a faint voice. It was so soft I thought maybe I was just imagining it. But then I heard it again. My name carried on the wind. At first I told myself it was just the wind itself playing tricks on me. You hear all kinds of things when you're out there alone at night. But the voice didn't fade. It grew louder, clearer. Like someone was standing just out of sight, calling for me to come closer. "Come here," it said. "Come here." It was so gentle, so familiar, almost like someone I knew. My heart was racing and I tried to tell myself it was just in my head, just a trick of the mind. I turned around and looked at the fields. The horses were restless, shifting from hoof to hoof. Their ears was flicking nervously. That's when I knew it wasn't just me. They heard it too. I started walking toward where the voice was coming from, toward the far end of the property, near the old fence that marked the boundary. The closer I got, the more insistent the voice became. It was no longer just a whisper, it was a plea. "Come here, come here," over and over, pulling at me like a hook in my chest. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, but there was nothing there. No one in the fields, no sign of anyone at all, just a voice, growing more urgent with every step. I stopped at the fence, my breath was coming in sharp. The voice was so close now, almost as if it was right behind me. But when I turned around, there was nothing, just the cold night air and the soft rustle of the grass. I don't know how long I stood there, listening to that voice. Eventually I forced myself to turn away and walk back to the barn. The voice didn't follow me, and by the time I reached the barn doors, the night was silent again, like it had swallowed the sound whole. I never heard the voice again after that night. But sometimes when I'm out there alone tending to the horses at dusk, I still feel that same pull, like something out there is waiting, like it's still calling my name.